appreciate the zeal in which you do it. I appreciate the press. It's inspiring. It's loving. And I tell people this is a hidden gem, underestimated. So I thank you for all of that. Our scripture this morning comes from 2 Kings. 2 Kings, the 8th chapter. 2 Kings, the 8th chapter. I've been with you a little over a month, so I've been figured out that your pastor's an Old Testament kind of guy. I know I love the New Testament, but I like to eat a lot out of the Old Testament. So when you have it or close to it, say amen, and we can proceed. Amen. Amen. Now Elisha had said to the woman whose son he restored to life, "Get up and go with your household and settle wherever you can. For the Lord has called a famine, and it will come on the land for 7 years." So the woman got up and did according to the word of the man of God. She went with her household and settled in the land of the Philistines 7 years. And at the end of 7 years, when the woman returned from the land of the Philistines, she set out to appeal to the king for her house and her land. Now the king was talking with Gehazi, the servant of the man of God, saying, "Tell me all the great things that Elisha has done." While he was telling the king how Elisha had restored a dead person to life, the woman whose son he had restored to life appeared to the king for her house and her land. Gehazi said, "My lord king, here is the woman, and here is her son, whom Elisha restored to life." When the queen questioned the woman, she told him. So the king appointed an official for her, saying, restore all that was hers, together with all the revenue of the fields, from the day that she left the land until now." Yeah. Join with me as we reflect on this scripture in a sermon entitled "Back in Stride Again." Who said, I heard, Amen. Amen. Let's go to God in prayer. Most gracious and eternal God, we come before you this morning, thanking you for this mighty church, thanking you for these people who have pressed through to be here. Now, may the meditations of my mouth and may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be in you, God. Yeah. If this is not of you, shut it down. Yeah. Let your spirit lead us so we can grow in unity and faith. Yes. Yes. In unity and faith. So we know that you are restored. Yeah. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. 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 Back in stride again. There's so much going on. It's crazy trouble all around. I'll tell you something, I'm not going to let it get me down. I've been going through some funky changes. Changes are the same. We like joy, but we really can't stand the pain. I'm just happy to see you and me back in stride again. All right. I'm just happy to see you and me back in stride again. My Lord. I'm going to keep trying to come. Things ain't always smooth. But I'll be all right as long as I can feel the groove. Somehow I know that I can make it if you seem to like my style. But don't worry, I'm going to be around a while. I'm just happy to see you and me back in stride again. I'm just happy to see you and me back in stride again. Amen. All right. The incomparable Frankie Bell. So 2 Kings 8 opens with the story of a woman we all should be familiar with if you know your Bible in any small sense of the way. The Shunammite woman. A woman who in 2 Kings 4 encountered Elisha, who not only promised her a son, but he also worked some miracles out for her financial favor. And then when later her son died and she was upset with Elisha, like, I asked you not to get my false promises up. I asked you not to do this thing if you were going to take it from me. Elisha restored her son. So they have a relationship. So we have a woman who's a believer in God, a woman who's a woman of faith, a woman who has a relationship with the prophet of God and understands. So they have a history. So Elisha is traveling and going back and forth, and he encounters this woman again at the start of 2 Kings 8, and he informs her that, hey, there's going to be a famine. You need to leave. Mm-hmm. Now, the woman already knows Elisha's a man of his word. She knows he's connected to God, and so she's obedient. She leaves. Now, during this time that she leaves, the text doesn't tell us why, but she seems to lose her house in her land. So when she comes home after the famine, expecting to pick up life as she knew it, picking up life as she had left it, things have changed. She's lost her stride. She's lost all that is her. And so Elisha informs her, well, I really can't do that, and I'm just a preacher, but I'm going to have to send you to the king. The preacher's power only goes so far, but if you listen to me one more time, we're going to be all right. So I'm going to tell you to go ahead, talk to the king. Now, she's a little hesitant, as the text kind of implies. Some of the studies say she was a little hesitant, but ultimately she goes to the king. And in the middle of walking into this meeting with the king, we see Gehazi, Elisha's right hand, talking about Elisha and saying, hey, look, I know a guy, he does all this wonderful stuff, he raises the dead, he does miracles. And the king is a bit like, I don't believe you, you need more people, what's going on? And then he says, look, I got a witness right here. And then the woman tells her story. Right. And the king is so moved by her story that he restores everything she lost, and plus the profit. It ends to say that everything her field was supposed to be, we're going to give that to her. So not only did she get her house back, her land back, she got all her lost wages. Now I can really say we can go home at this point because that story testifies for itself that God is a restorer. And if you can't be happy about God being a restorer, then you are in the wrong place. Because I know people in this house have been in that season of life where God has restored them. Can I get an amen?
Yes.
Amen.
So that's the story. But let's unpack some lessons out of this story that I think are critical that, as Frankie Beverly talks about, it's some crazy times, but we ain't going to let us get us down because we're going to be back in stride again, right? The first thing is, being a believer in God does not mean we won't have struggles.
Yes.
Being a believer in God does not mean we won't have struggle. And far too often in this American churchianity, we somehow convinced ourselves and each other that just because we're blessed and highly favored and all of the cliches, we say that we won't have trouble. So when trouble hits, we are surprised. When trouble hits, we don't know how to respond. But even Jesus warned us that just because you follow me, you will have trouble. Yeah. So I don't understand how we've disconnected trouble from being a believer in God. So just because you're a believer, just because you have the right relationships and have the right covering and understand the right anointing, don't mean that you ain't going to have troubles. God blessed this woman continuously and she still had trouble. Her son died, had to be resurrected. She got hit with a famine, had to leave, came back, had to fight for her property. But we all have those seasons in life where famine hits.
Yes.
Famine is just not agricultural. We have seasons in life where our personal relationships struggle, where our finances struggle, where our health struggles. Famine will hit us as sure as we are alive.
Yes.
We will look up and we will have this lack. I'm lacking something spiritual. I'm lacking something personal. I'm lacking motivation. My health is bad. I'm in a famine. I just can't get no fruit. So what's going on? And it may not be something you did. If you understand famine, sometimes famine is hit because of the weather, seasons, people around you. You can be tilling your land and doing your land and minding your own business, and guess what? You still get hit with a famine. So this woman, what did she say? God is bringing a famine. So she's doing what she's supposed to do. Imagine you doing everything you're supposed to do. Your son is growing. You're happy. You're smiling. And somebody say, hey, it's going to be a famine. I didn't do nothing. But that's part of being a believer. That's part of the seasons and journeys and vicissitudes of life.
That's right.
Now, she's obedient. She's obedient. So, yeah, being a believer doesn't protect us from trouble. Yes, famine happens. And she's actually obedient. She actually obeys the man of God. She actually obeys wisdom. And she leaves. She's trying to do the right thing. And guess what? It's more trouble. So she comes back. Now imagine that. We've all been there. I'm trying to do the right thing. I'm trying my best to walk in the will of God. We got that co-worker. We got that neighbor. If I can be honest, the neighbors is trying my ever-loving pastor and Christian patience about taking up our spots on Sunday. And I'm trying, just to give an example. But you know what? We got to trust God.
Amen.
You got to trust God. So a woman is doing everything she's supposed to do, but yet she's still in the midst of struggle. And that's how it is for us. If we honest as Christians, we minding our own business, we voting, we doing everything we're supposed to do, and yet somehow we find ourselves in the midst of this crisis. And it can be frustrating. If we can own it, it can be a very frustrating season to do something right and get a bad outcome. Yet in spite of this, we serve a God who never leaves us nor forsakes us and restores us. What's the formula I've been giving you all? remember the promises of God and have courage.
Yes.
So for her, it was simply a matter of remembering all that God had done.
Yes.
And that's why that was important in testimony. She had to remember who she was. She had to remember what God had done. So in spite of all this, when she came back, God was ready for her. God was there for her. God pushed her. God moved her. But how? How did she get restored? How did she get to a place of restoration? In spite of all of this, because I know I've said a very big, bleak picture. In spite of all this, somehow she gets restored. So let's unpack how she got restored. As I said, the first thing she did was she remembered who God was.
Yes.
She remembered what he had done in her life. She remembered who she was, the beneficiary of God's blessings and restorations and mercy and joy. She never forgot that. That's how she knew to listen and had a relationship with Elisha. Which brings me to my second point. She sought out and followed godly counsel. One of the telling things about their relationship is she sought out wisdom. She stayed in conversation. She may have disagreed, she may not have understood, but she sought out and followed godly wisdom. And I don't think you ever too old or ever too smart or ever too anything not to seek out and follow godly wisdom.
Amen. Amen.
To add somebody, how does this sound?
Yes.
Sometimes minding your own business gets you in trouble. You got to add somebody. You got to talk to somebody.
Amen.
Had she not had a relationship with Elisha, had she not been in community with Elisha, she would have never known the famine. She was willing to be obedient. Elisha said the famine was coming. It wasn't there, but it was coming. And she didn't wait till the last minute. She didn't say, no, I don't disagree. I don't believe that out. She said, okay. She left. So not only was she willing to seek wisdom, she was willing to act on the wisdom she gave.
Yes.
And for us, that's critical.
Yes.
Yes.
How many of us got that friend that keep coming to you for advice
Yes.
every other day, asking you what you be doing, you tell them, and then they come back the same week and we like, why are we talking about this? Because I laid out the 12-point steps for you.
Yeah.
The third thing she did was she was willing to share her story. And this is why I'm going to push my church family on. Are we willing to share our testimony?
All right. Yes.
Are we willing to
Yes.
talk about what God has done and what God has brought us through?
Yes.
And how God has lifted us up and how God has carried us? Or do we keep that to ourselves? When we get a blessing, do we smile on the inside and write it in our journal, close the journal, don't tell nobody? Or do we go share our testimony? Do we go run screaming through the halls of who God is and what God has done? God gave me a promotion. God took that sickness away. God delivered my grandson. God protected my baby. Whatever it is.
Yes.
Do we scream it from the mountaintops?
Yeah.
And I push this point because we definitely scream when it go wrong from the mountaintops. When it go wrong from the mountaintops, well, we all on our phone calls, we all on social media, we talking about everything the church did, how people made us mad, how I don't like this, how I don't like that, how I don't like this person, how I'm mad at God. We definitely can give the negative report, but do we give the positive report?
All right.
Now imagine if you will in your divine imagination, had that woman went in with a negative report.
Yeah.
Elisha restored me, but I don't really like this, you know. Would she have been blessed back? Imagine if she went there and shared everything that she did wrong. Well, I had told Elisha not to give me a son, and he died, so I don't know what we keep talking about this resurrection, and he not did. How would the king have responded? And so when we talk down on our faith, when we talk down on our church, when we talk down on the people in our church, we ain't bringing nobody to Christ. Ain't nobody empathizing with us. They're like, wow, why did you stay in that place?
Yeah.
I wouldn't serve a God that vexes me like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't serve a denomination that vexes me like that. I wouldn't be in a space. So yes, we got to share our testimony. We got the negative reports down pat. Black Christians, we got that down pat. We ain't never got to share another negative report. But do we testify? That's why I'm excited about the lay witness. When we talk about what God has done in our lives. So when the young brother who's being my wonderful cameraman today, when we start telling him to come to church, he got something positive to hear. Because I know he done heard the negative. Am I right, brother? I know you done heard the negative. When we start talking about the positive in his life, when we start talking about the positive, I've been where you are, then he wants to be in that fellowship. See, the testimony of the woman in Gehazi interests the king. He sat up in his chair like, tell me more. And so you got to be willing to share your testimony. But you know, I'm going to own something. Sharing testimonies are hard. Because we got some joy stealers. I'm not even going to deny that. Sharing testimony is hard, but you got to have the courage to share your testimony.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's something I've come to learn recently.
Yes.
I was so scared to tell people I was a pastor. I was so afraid in the first couple of weeks because I didn't know how people was going to respond. And then I said, wait, God has blessed me with this wonderful opportunity.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I am a pastor. I was so scared to talk about what it meant to be a reverend. I downplayed God. But how will people believe? So when I encounter my friends in the barbershop who knew me 10, 15 years ago, who knew that, Terrence? How did you get here? Well, let me tell you a story.
All right.
Let me tell you about that night God spoke to me. Let me tell you about that night God saved me and I got tired and burnt out and I walked into a church. Let me tell you about that when I finally stopped running and said, I'm going to use my charm, my wits, my intellect for the glory and kingdom of God because I've tried this other thing and it ain't working. It ain't done nothing but gave me a bunch of headaches and kids. So I want to try something different.
Yeah.
All right. Praise the Lord.
And so but that took courage.
Yeah.
That took courage to say that in the barbershop. You full of cats who think Jesus is white and you serving a white Jesus, but I didn't care. You still press through. That take courage, sister, to go ahead and say, listen, you can say what you want, and I don't know what back of the tops baseball cards you read this information from, but let me tell you about my God. Let me tell you about the God I serve. Let me tell you about the God that restored. Let me tell you about the God that rose on the third day. Let me tell you about all of that.
Woo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Praise the Lord.
And people respond to positive testimony.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
People respond to your bold faith,
Yeah.
courageous faith.
Yeah. Yes.
Look at the Gospels. When the apostles and disciples were bold with it, the people respond. When they were timid with it, the people responded in another way. That's why people love Paul, because Paul was bold with it.
Yes.
Paul would walk into a room full of folks, Sadducees and Pharisees, and say, hey, listen, I was wrong about all this. This is what's right. I don't care if you don't like it. That's what made Jesus so dope. Jesus would walk in the same room and say, listen, this is what it is. You said this, but I'm here to tell you. So we need to have that courageous faith.
Yes.
And I think in this season, we've been taught not to be courageous. That's why we struggle with asking people to come to church. My loved ones will tell you, I handed out cards to the people at McDonald's, to the drive-thru, to the Dunkin' Donuts, to the mailman, everybody getting a little card. Every time I'm in the Uber, here you go. I got a church, you might need another one. It's always good to have plan B. Because it takes courageous faith. We say about this wonderful church that I've been blessed to pastor on 102nd and Torrance. They small but mighty. They dedicated soldiers, they veterans. They done seen and been through it all, and they keep showing up, and you know what? Imagine what they can pour into your life, young brother. These are folks that done served in the military, done been through Jim Crow, done been through Harold Washington. They done seen it all, and guess what? They can show you how to get through it. If you're willing to listen, you're willing to follow them, willing to work with them, we can do this.
Yes.
That's what the sister did. That's how she got her stride back. That's how we get our stride back.
Yeah.
Yes.
God is not found in isolation. Only 1 or 2 times in scripture did he send people off into the wilderness. And that was for a special purpose.
Yes.
When they came out. And then when they came out, they went back to community. And this is what this story is telling us as we begin. This is a story about community, testimony, sharing your faith. It ain't easy being Christians. I tell anybody that. Our faith requires such a tightrope walking, such balance, such understanding, such study. It ain't easy. Especially when so much of the hurt comes from inside. It ain't easy being Christians. It ain't easy being Christians in a world that, although claims to like us, in a country that claims to respect us, does everything antithetical to us. And so we walking around looking crazy because we talking about feeding the poor and taking care of people, and other branches of Christians say we don't do that. But we here. So what we gonna do with that while we here? If you want your stride back, you gotta do what this woman did. Yeah, life happens. I'm not the pastor and preacher that's gonna lie to you and say life ain't gonna happen. I talk to y'all. I know life happens. Y'all talk to me. Met with the steward board. I told him yesterday life happened. I gave him my whole story.
I'm here.
Praise the Lord.
Praise the
Amen.
Lord.
Amen.
I'm
Praise
lost,
the
but
Lord.
I'm here, and so are you.
Yeah.
And I have no problem telling people that about my Jesus.
All right.
That's the reason we're doing Facebook Live. That's the reason we're doing all this, so we can share our story and our testimony.
Yes.
So people can know that we don't serve an empty God.
Yes.
Right.
So people will know that Frederick Nietzsche was wrong, that God is not dead, and God is alive
Yes, yes.
and powerful and still working miracles.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes,
If
he
you
is.
believe that, give God some praise.
Amen.